As we said before we went for the break, another disturbing story that we have to deal with. And recent reports have seen an increase, I'm told, in extortion practices in schools across the corporate area. Why is this, and how can we stop it? Here to discuss the issue is Detective Inspector Paulette Winter Crossfield, sub-officer in charge of kidnapping and extortion units. Morning, ma'am. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Morning.
How are you?
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. I said corporate area schools, which would mean in our area.
Yes.
Is that where it's happening mostly?
In Kingston and St. Andrew, yes.
Wow.
Corporate area, and when we speak about within the corporate area, we're speaking of within schools where that are located in the volatile areas where gangs are associated.
Yeah. Well, I just use the word extortion for some of us who don't understand what that means. What is extortion?
So extortion is when any person make any unwarranted demand by menace, threat, force, demanding something from a person that is not legally theirs and threatening to take some form of action. May it be to kill, in school, to fight, beat them up, take away maybe their books, lunch money, and all of that.
Mm-hmm. The report was generated, which says to me, I might be wrong, that this has come to reports that are being made about extortion in schools.
Yes.
So from the reports, can you also make an assumption about those that have not been reported, and which is why you're saying there's an upsurge?
All right, so we would have realized extortion is not new on the books. It has always been around. But what has been happening is that we are not getting the reports. And we believe that persons are not reporting because of fear. Because the reality is some persons don't fear losing their business, have to be taken out of a school and to be sent to another school, and they are living far away from that school. Persons are being extorted, even who have their home in certain communities, volatile communities, and for fear of have to be removed from their household, they don't report it.
You said earlier in areas where they have gangs.
Yes.
But when I read, that's almost every area. When I read the news, is it so? My question is it just specific to one area in Kingston or no?
No. When we speak about areas, Area 4, which consists of Kingston Central, St. Andrews Central, Kingston Western, St. Andrews South, and Kingston Eastern.
Where is St. Andrews Central and St. Andrews?
St. Andrews Central have to deal with Halfway Tree Police Area.
Okay.
St. Andrews South is Onsbay Police Area.
Okay.
So when we read it, it was saying increase in weaponry, demand for money, and things like that, Detective. How do they get weapons in schools? I thought that was something that we were trying to mitigate.
Yes, we were trying to mitigate it, but there are always loopholes in every situation. And the reality is, even though the children or students may have been searched at the gate going into the school, sometimes they leave their weaponry with someone at the outside, and they know how to retrieve it after for use.
If my son comes home and tells me that Delia's son forced him to give him $100 or $1,000, and I report it to you, what happened to Delia's son, or what happens then?
Well, the reality is within the school, we have school resource officers that will go into the school and have an association or some discussion with the Dean of Discipline, the guidance counselor, and sometimes they mitigate and try to resolve the problem. But if it is really reported to us within CTOC, we take the necessary action, because the reality is extortion is really a crime.
So sorry to jump in, but the necessary action in this case would be what?
Right. So extortion is a crime. It is an offense, and under the Larceny Act, it specifically states that every person who with a view to gain for himself or any other, or with a view to cause loss to any person, makes any unwarranted demand with menace, which is with threat or force, shall be guilty of the offense of extortion. And really, if they're found guilty within a criminal court, the parish court, they can get the sentence of up to 5 years, and within the circuit court, sentence of up to 15 years. So the next necessary action, we will charge.
And that applies to a student also?
Yes, also. There is no age, yes, there is no age limit to the offense of extortion.
So a 13-year-old can go to jail for that?
Yes. A 13-year-old now has been charged and is currently before the court. He went to court, I think it was last week, and he was remanded in custody.
And if he's found guilty, he goes to where?
Well,
what is the state house or in what jail?
Well, that would be left to the judge to decide.
Okay.
To make a determination.
Right.
How have you found it, Detective? Is it that within the schools itself, the gangs are being generated within the school, or are you finding that some of the students are connected to gangs? We spoke about communities, but are they connected to gangs outside of the school and are therefore bringing that kind of thinking into the school?
Yes, they are connected to the gangs outside of the school within the communities where they live. Socialization have a whole lot to do with it. And so we found out that because of the areas in which they are located, where they live and socialize, they bring the same attitudes in the school. But we advise that students ought to know that their circumstances or their situation should not determine their destiny.
Just back to Delia's question, what does connected to the gangs mean?
It could be that they have relatives who are gang members, they have friends who are gang members.
And they could be also a part of the gang.
A part of the
themselves.
gang, yes.
Have you found that high school students are actually a part of a gang?
Well, we have no statistics to speak to that, but when we go into the school, and because we go into the school from time to time, and we have launched the anti-gang weeks, and speaking of going into school, today, members of the National Strategic Anti-Gang Unit within CTOC will be going into the school to have motivational talk with students. And so we would have been into school where when you have one-on-one talk with the students, you realize that they are involved because of the communities in
the
which
pressures they are on themselves. So I'm watching, I'm speaking to my child, I'm saying, is extortion happening in your school? And they say, yes, I've observed it. What do? How can they safely report the practice?
All right, so that practice could be reported to the guidance counselor and the dean of discipline. They will deal with it from that angle. If they aren't able to deal with it, there are school resource officers that they should call in to speak to. And if it is beyond their reach, they are able to call the CTOC, the National Strategic Anti-Gang Unit, which treats with extortion.
Question, ma'am, and we're talking about schools, but overall, you know how many gangs we have in Jamaica?
As it is now, we have the data for 2022 speaks about 277 active gangs.
277 gangs.
Mm-hmm.
And to be considered a gang, how many members?
3 or more persons. 3 or more persons with the intent to commit some violence in order to gain control over a community.
277.
277.
Yeah, you'll have a big job.
A very big one.
Hopefully we will get it right and hopefully we will stop this nonsense.
Yes.
Thanks for coming, ma'am.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for your service.
You're welcome.
Sub-officer.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Sub-officer in charge of kidnapping and extortion units, Detective Inspector Paulette Winter Crossfield.
And I told her to tell you hi, all right?
Up next, a ray of hope. Children using artificial intelligence to help make life easier.
That sounds like good news. We need that now. We'll soon come, folks. Stay with us, please.